going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as always, it's Monday, so I'm going to be uploading an analysis video for a pair that I'm looking at going into this week. I'm going to start doing this every week now for the foreseeable future. So this week I'm seeing a potential setup on GBPCAD, so I'm going to be analyzing that for you guys. If you guys want to see me as well analyze any other pairs, make sure to leave that in the description as well, and I will go through those pairs next week. As I said, I'll do one video like this every week. So if you guys have any preferences for what pairs that you would like me to send, I will get back to you in the description if you leave that below. So if we get into GBPCAD now, so starting on the higher time frames as always, GBPCAD is technically still bullish. As you can see, we are printing higher lows and higher highs. Price hasn't broken any daily structure. We had this sort of area broken, but as you can see, that was a very minor pullback, and price is still withholding daily structure. As you can see, when we came into this area down here, which was an area of daily demand, created this imbalance and broke the structure here. So if we also mark on the key structure, so this is our most recent breaker structure. This is the swing low, this is the swing high. So we would not want to see price take out this low, because if it did, then we can consider that price would have reversed. However, I'm not seeing that as particularly likely at the moment, since what we have done on the weekly time frame, we've sort of wicked towards this weekly area of supply up here. As you can see with this wick, we wicked towards it but never actually touched it. So I'm seeing this from an inducement perspective, where this wick here is simply liquidity below the supply, and for that reason I think it is quite likely that price will make one final move up towards this area before any real sell moves happen. Obviously it could also just smash straight through and continue to the upside, but I think we will get some sort of retracement from this area. As you can just see, it's a very clean supply which took liquidity to the left, broke this structure here, and also created a lot of imbalance that price needs to come up and fill. On top of that, the weekly is technically still bearish. As you can see, this is the weekly swing lower high, and this is the weekly lower low. So we anticipate now that a new lower high will form, and this area, in my opinion, is a likely area for that to happen. But that's really it for the higher time frame picture. So we have our overall bias, which is buys up to this weekly area of supply at around 7155 sort of level above this wick, and we're seeing this wick as inducement. So if we break it down a little bit more now, so on the 4-hour time frame, after price came into this daily demand, we had this very, very impulsive move up. Price then made a second leg up, creating this higher low sort of internally within this sort of leg. We also broke this 4-hour structure, so that would be our change of character on the 4-hour. As you can see, if we just focus on this price action that's in the screen at the moment, price was trending bearish internally. So what I mean by internally is that the overall trend was still bullish, but if we were looking on the lower time frames, we would have seen a bearish trend because price was doing a retracement. So if I make that a little bit more clear, when price is in an uptrend like this, oh, that was a bad drawing. Yeah, so when price is in an uptrend like this, the pullbacks on the lower time frames look like downtrends like this. So that is an internal downtrend, even though price is still maintaining the bullish trend. And the likely thing to happen now is for price to continue this up. So this is what I mean by price was internally bearish. We were printing these lower lows and lower highs within inside the current daily leg of the trend, and this was the retracement. But now what we've done is ended this bearish trend internally, and we've broken past this 4-hour structure. As you can see, this area of supply failed. Price closed above it very nicely, and we've also created these equal highs here as well. You could also say price reacted from this area of supply and liquidated this lower high to go lower. However, if price was likely to continue down from this level, I think it would have most likely reacted from, like the middle zone or the bottom of it. It wouldn't have come all the way back up to create these equal highs at the wick. That suggests to me that this area of supply is particularly weak and unlikely to cause any major moves to the downside. So how I'm going to be trading this then is I'm going to be looking for a retracement into discounted pricing of this current leg, so between this swing low and this swing high. And what I noticed was that we had this big imbalance here that price filled partially but didn't actually come all the way down to fill. So in my opinion, this low here will be taken and is sort of like an adjustment above the real demand. And getting onto that now, we have this area of demand on the 4 hour. This was the last bearish candle before this impulsive move up. We also have, if we mark this on as inducement, if we also go to the lower time frames and see why this area of demand is actually valid, we can see that, notice how this candle wicked down like this, swept all of these early buyers, and then made its impulsive move up. And I think I've talked about this in a video before, but the areas of supply and demand that hold most often are the ones that actually swipe liquidity. Well, they have two criteria I use. They swipe liquidity and they also cause a break of structure, leaving behind that imbalance as well. So that's three things actually: sweep of liquidity, break of structure, and imbalance. This one has all three. So if we look at this grey box, that is the daily area of demand that we marked out. Notice how we had this initial push, which looked like it caused a change of character. So I know a lot of people would have probably been buying on the retest of this candle. Price then liquidates those early buyers and then makes the real move to the upside. So in my opinion, we will definitely get some sort of reaction from this level. So yeah, if we also mark that on, that we swept this liquidity to the left. So how I'm actually going to be trading this, we don't just want to simply set a limit at this area. As always, price could just melt straight through. We want to be reactive and wait for price to make its move before we decide to get in on any positions. So what I'm going to be looking for is for price to come all the way down to this level. I'll be looking for something like this, where we get an initial bounce from the top of the level, price then sweeps that, and then we get that break of structure, and then we can look for retracements into some sort of area of demand that price leaves over, or simply a retest of this blue box as we would have already had our confirmation entry. And then we can look for buys all the way up to take out this these equal highs liquidity up here. Or if you want to be a bit more ambitious, you can also look for the buys all the way back up to that daily high into weekly supply as well, if you're more of a swing trader and you want to hold it for that long. Personally, I would have first targets here, and then I would look to perhaps get in on a scale-in if any areas present themselves. So yeah, at the moment, it's just a waiting game. We have to be patient and wait and see what price does in this zone. We also have news tomorrow, the inflation rate, which will probably be a key determinant in whether this area holds or not, as this is very high impact news. Ideally, we'd want to see inflation come out higher than expected for the buys, lower than expected for the buys, as this would prompt the Bank of Canada to maybe loosen their rate hike and not hike rates, and that would lead to obviously decrease in prices for the CAD, which would lead to pound CAD going up. That's not always the case. Obviously, you get cases where news will come out and then the reaction will be opposite to what you expect. That's why I really don't pay much attention to news, but we want to make sure we are aware of this news event, as it is very high impact and we don't want to be trading around it. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video useful. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and if, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you have any preferred pairs that you'd like me to analyze at the start of each week, drop them in the description below and I'll get back to you. And yeah, have a good week. hopefully we can catch some nice trades.